Draft week, which means we kicked Shane Diefenbach off the show. Shawn DePaz joining me, Johnny Venerable here. It's PHNX Bets Daily Podcast every day, noon o'clock, and best week of the year, at least for me, Shawn, as a draft aficionado. I love the draft so much, and I also love our friends at BetMGM Sportsbook because they give us an array of draft props to dabble on. There is no better time to dabble than right now on BetMGM Sportsbook. First and foremost, Shawn, how was your weekend? And what about those Phoenix Suns?
Weekend was okay. The Arizona Diamondbacks let me down tremendously, but the Phoenix Suns did not. Minus DeAndre Ayton. Shane and I both had a DeAndre Ayton first basket props, and he missed two opportunities to get the first basket, which was so heartbreaking. But otherwise, it was a good weekend. I think the Suns showed the Suns took a little bit of a step, I guess you could say. I don't know if that's the way to look at it, but I felt comfortable with that win, unlike the other ones when it was all said and done. So
yeah. I mean, does anybody outside of the Nuggets look like a powerhouse in the West? I still think this is what I expected the Suns to look like, figuring it out on the fly. They're going to have some clunkers, but I love that they've been able to overcome slow starts and they play their best basketball in the second half. And we need the Phoenix Suns to close it out tomorrow. On Tuesday, we're going to preview that game.
Mm-hmm.
First, let's talk about the NFL draft, Mr. Shawn DePaz, and really the linchpin for what I think the Cardinals can and want to do at pick 3, which of course is trade down, is going to be dictated, I believe, by the Houston Texans at pick number 2. And right now, on numerous draft sites, it's not just our friends at BetMGM Sportsbook, Will Levis out of Kentucky, who puts mayonnaise in his coffee and eats his bananas with the peel on, is the quintessential overwhelming favorite on draft week to be the second overall pick. You can't even get even money anymore at Will Levis to Houston. What do you make of that, and are you buying it here now today?
I don't know what to make of it. I just have a hard time believing that if the Texans do go with a quarterback, that's going to be the one they go with, knowing damn well that Stroud and or Bryce Young will still be on the board. Especially if the Panthers do end up taking Stroud, I would be shocked if they left Bryce Young there at 2. But I don't know. I don't see it happening. I think he's at best the 4th best quarterback prospect in this draft. I don't want any. I have no interest in Will Levis. I think he's going to be a bust of an NFL prospect. I would be shocked if the Texans made that move. I wouldn't understand it, but I don't really know anything. Baker Mayfield was a first overall pick.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Will Levis is one of these players that in some time we haven't had where it's almost universally agreed that he is not going to pan out. Like 80% of the coverage that I've seen, I don't know if we're just smarter as a community within the landscape of the draft in the NFL, but I would say for every 10 Will Levis pieces I see, 8 of them are calling him an outright bust and 2 are complimentary, right? And even the people who like him say he should have no business going as high as he's probably going to go. I'm not buying it either. I think it's a bunch of garbage. I do think Bryce Young's going first overall, though. He canceled his visits. I think Carolina wanted to talk themselves into CJ Stroud first overall because he's got the size and he has the pedigree, the collegiate pedigree. Not that Bryce Young doesn't, but Bryce Young has won over that organization during the draft process. And it's like when the Cardinals took Kyler Murray, it's like they didn't want to be talked into Kyler Murray, but they were just blown away by his production and his highlights and how he's going to translate to the next level. And that's what's happened with Bryce Young, I believe, to Carolina. So, Houston could go a lot of different ways. I said this earlier on PHNX Cardinals last week, Shawn. Houston has total 4 first-round picks between last year and this year. They have the most draft capital going into next year. If they pass on a quarterback at 2, you would assume they're not going to take one at 12. They could, but probably not. They'll have used 4 first-round picks that were top 12 or better, none of which on quarterbacks. And last year was a bad quarterback class, but I think that's unheard of. I don't think that happens. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to be the second overall pick and what the best value is. But first, I'm going to tell you about our friends at BetMGM Sportsbook. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity over the weekend to check out the great lawn at State Farm Stadium. Suns Watch Party with our guys, PHNX Suns, as they get that dub on Saturday. Absolutely electric vibes. Tell us more, Shawn, if you could, about your experiences at BetMGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium.
Oh, I mean, it's a vibe. I love watching sports ball myself, but being there with a bunch of people that are they're rooting for the same thing. Like it's more fun to be in a group. And listen, I'm not just the food there goes crazy. It goes insane. I had a full pancake breakfast on Saturday during the Suns game. It was a complete vibe because they have a bomb brunch menu. So the food there is good. The people there are good. Get a chance to win some money. There's big screens, so I was watching that, but also keeping my eye on some XFL and some NHL playoffs too. So it's a great time.
It is. I think producer Emma told me on Friday for our prior watch party for the Suns' first game in LA, they were handing out $100 free bets. That being BetMGM Sportsbook. You'd love to see that. Super simple way to get started. If you haven't dabbled on BetMGM Sportsbook yet, use that bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers out there depending on where you live. But for our Arizona folks, you're going to get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. It's super simple. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app. You sign up using bonus code PHNX. You place a pregame moneyline wager in the amount of at least 10 bones on any market at standard odds price. You can take that $10, put it on the Lakers, put it on the Bucks, whatever you want to do tonight. You're going to receive 10 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Just make sure you're using bonus code PHNX when you sign up. And again, as I mentioned, join us at BetMGM Sportsbook at State Farm Stadium for all Suns away playoff games. Our PHNX Sun Watch Party presented by Neutral is going to feature food and drink specials, giveaways for PHNX gear, BetMGM deposit matches, as we just told you. Join us by grabbing your free tickets in the show notes. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say I hope that we don't have a watch along on Thursday because I want the Phoenix Suns to get it done. And I want to tell all those people for the watch along that, you know what, we'll see you in the Western Conference semifinals. And check out now the show notes for details and listen to our good friend, the absentee Shane Diefenbach, talk about it in the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
All right, we got some NBA action. We're going to start dipping our toe, Shawn, into these props for the NFL draft. What do you like tonight?
Oh, well, I didn't have picks for tonight. Well, I can give you some picks for tonight. I didn't send them in, but I love the Memphis Grizzlies, and I love the Memphis Grizzlies. And what is the other game? Oh, I love the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks have Giannis back. I'm taking the Bucks minus 7.5 is where it was at last time I looked. And the Grizzlies outplayed the Lakers for a lot of that last game. It's just that the Lakers dominated the first quarter, and when you dominate the first quarter the way that the Lakers did, you're not going to lose very many games. So I still think the Bucks are a better team, or the Grizzlies on paper, or maybe not on paper, but I think in general they are a better team, and they will get a win tonight. But I really, really like the Bucks minus 7.5 with Giannis back. The Bucks they're not in a great spot. They're not, and especially for a team that expected to kind of dominate their way at least to the Eastern Conference Finals. I feel like they might start feeling a little pressure, and you put Giannis under pressure, you're getting a giant Greek diamond. He's gonna ball out, so I'm not too worried about them.
All right, let's see your NFL draft props you like 3 days out.
Yeah. First defensive player drafted, Will Anderson. Look, we've started to hear more and more about the potential of the Texans taking a defensive player with the second overall pick. I think it would be a mistake. I think you have to draft the best quarterback that's on the board, which is probably CJ Stroud at that point. But I like it still. I think you see some mock drafts have Will Anderson going there. He's just obviously a very dynamic player defensively. And I know Tyree has been getting has been moving up draft boards, but you're giving me plus money on a guy that was a guy that some consider to be the best defensive prospect in the draft. Again, that some mock drafts have him going second overall. I like it at plus 100. I'm going to get to Will Levis third overall pick plus 1,000. look, like we kind of talked about, this is a guy that people seem to be trying to talk themselves into, even though I think a lot of draft prognosticators do not think he's going to be that good of an NFL prospect, of which I am. I do not think he's going to be that good. But if CJ Stroud does get taken first or second, Bryce Young, I think, has a good chance of being that other pick. At that point, I think the Cards are trading out of that third overall draft pick. You're giving me Will Levis, like I said, a guy that people are clearly trying to talk themselves into at plus 1,000. Mm-hmm. I like it. Why not? And then first overall pick, I agree that I think Bryce Young is probably going to be that pick, but you're giving me plus 1,000 and a guy that as soon as the Carolina Panthers traded for that pick, everyone was saying they love CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud
like minus 340 when it happened.
Exactly. Now you're giving me that plus 1,000, a guy. I just think this happens all the time with NFL drafts. The media starts talking. The experts start getting all of these different sources, all this kind of stuff, and it just kind of becomes a giant mess. You're giving me plus 1,000 again on a guy that as soon as they got that pick, everyone was saying that they were interested in. I still think it's going to be Bryce Young, but plus 1,000 on that guy, I'm going to take it.
I like it. I use the same analogy with what I'm trying to do for my NFL props ahead of the draft. We're going to probably do this every day because the odds are going to change. I'm going to tell you, Shawn's going to tell you where your money is best served. I think Anthony Richardson at plus 2,000 second overall is something that needs to be considered. If they are dead set on not taking CJ Stroud and Bryce Young goes first overall, you're telling me that regime would rather have Will Levis over Anthony Richardson? I just can't. I cannot imagine that. Plus 2,000. Throw your free $10 on that, and that could prosper big time for you again. And then as a default option, if CJ Stroud makes it to pick 3, I do think a number of teams are going to be interested. We've talked about it on PHNX Cardinals. The Las Vegas Raiders would want to come up and dabble on CJ Stroud. So you can get him third overall plus 250, but Houston plus 2,000 to take Anthony Richardson. You know, having been at the combine, the buzz around Anthony Richardson was so immense. And the fact he's only helped his stock, and you see guys like CJ Stroud, probably through no fault of his own, take some shots in the media. Richardson, to me, is a firm top 3 lock. Here are my locks for tonight, including my pick of the week. I'm going to go, as you mentioned, Bucks, but I'm going to go Bucks minus 7.5. I think it's going to be a blowout rout. Yeah. This is not a must-win game, but it's close. You're down 2-1. You go down 3-1. Like, I can't take you seriously, even if you go on to win the series in the kind of the let's just say underdeveloped Eastern Conference. This is not the West. The Bucks need to get it together. Giannis is playing. They're gonna be able to right the ship. I think they win by double digits. Tease it up, and then I also like the Lakers money line plus 210. You can parlay these two together at BetMGM Sportsbook. The semifinal and the conference finals this year in the NBA are going to be absolutely sensational. And we're weeding out kind of the have-nots here. So I think the Bucks and the Lakers take care of business tonight. Mr. Shawn, what do you got on tap for us today? PHNX Sun Devils worth.
2 p.m. I have to imagine we're going to be talking a little baseball. In some polls, ASU baseball 12th in the country. Nice. Still have not lost a single series in Pac-12 play, which is good as they get into a pretty tough stretch. Just won a series over 21st ranked Oregon State. They got UCLA, Stanford, USC all coming up later this year. So we're going to dive into a little ASU baseball.
Love that. Also love PHNX Cardinals live today. Myself, Bo Brock, 4 p.m. We're going to be talking about why the national media is insistent on taking indirect shots at Kyler Murray week in and week out, plus the odds for the third overall pick. What's the latest from Albert Breer, Mike Garafolo? Who is Kyler Murray pushing for the third overall pick? We're going to tell you that and more. PHNX Cardinals live. Do not miss it. In the meantime, like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast for PHNX Bets Daily. Shawn and I back the rest of this week. Lock it in at noon every day. For Shawn DePaz, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you tomorrow.